Huge welcome to everyone watching online this morning. I hope you use that moment to send a text maybe to your mum, or jumped on her and gave her a hug, or went and got yourself a coffee. But it's good to be gathered together, isn't it? Happy Mother's Day to all of our mums. I want to start this morning by wishing all of our mums and all of our community mums, our bonus mums, our spiritual mums, and our aunties a happy Mother's Day. I want you to know that we love you, we honour you, and we thank you for who you are, for all that you do, and for all that you've done. We appreciate you heaps. You know, this church community, I think you would agree with me, this church community is full of beautiful inside and outside women who sacrificially give and serve not only their immediate family but also the broader community, and we are just so truly grateful for every single one of you. Thank you so much. I trust that you, every one of you, will have a fantastic today doing the things that you enjoy doing and spending time with those that you love, connecting with them. And I also want to acknowledge that today can be a tough day, can't it? It can be a tough day for some, Mother's Day. These significant days, you know, earlier we were praying, it's tough day, but it's also a good day, you know, and isn't that such a metaphor for life? Tough and good all in the same time. So I just want to acknowledge that it can be a tough day. And I just want you to know we've been praying for you, and we stand with you, and we love you, and thank you for being a part of this service and including this worship service in part of your day. Now, I think you all received a gift on the way in, all the women. So please make sure you take them home, put them somewhere. They've been lovingly created for you, and I trust that they bless you in a special way today. And we've also got a photo booth. One of the cool things about Mother's Day, I reckon, is you get an opportunity to take a photo as a family. We don't take many photos. The Tom boys are not really into photos. So when we do get an opportunity to get a photo, it's fantastic. So make sure you get out there, get your phones, and I think there's a hashtag for it as well. I'm not that good on all that hashtag stuff, so I think it's on the sign. So read the sign. Well, this section of our service is going to be fantastic. Today I'm going to give Leanne some space just to come up and to encourage all of the mums and all the women of the church. So she's going to come up in a moment. Then I'm going to interview one of our mums, Heidi Griffiths. And then I want to bring to you just a very, very short devotional, something that I've been thinking about. And then Grace is going to hop up and she's going to pray for all of the mums and all the women in our church. So you ready to go? Can we welcome Leanne as she comes up? And I'm going to get you this. Now, do you want me to stay or do you want me to go?
I'll let you answer that question. I don't know, you choose.
All right, I'll go.
It's funny, he said before that all the boys don't like photos in the family, as if I take photos of myself, or we don't do photos. Rod asked me to share an encouragement with you this morning, but I feel it's more of a thank you. For those who don't know me, I'm Rod's wife, we just said that, and we have 3 amazing boys. Life Streams has been our church for a long time, and Rod has been pastor here for a long time. In fact, the day we announced our engagement on this stage, Rod was also announced as intern youth pastor. This church is a big part of our life. Our 3 boys have grown up here. Our oldest child is almost 21, Lewis, and Noah is 18, Jackson is 16, so we're currently teaching him how to drive. We can blame the shakes on that. Thank you for loving them and for praying for them. Thank you for not judging me, or maybe judging me but not saying anything, as my children came to church with no shoes on. One still doesn't wear shoes. For not staring when our boys have funny haircuts. One of ours loved our neighbour's hair when he was about 4. He had a bleach blonde mohawk and a rat's tail. I compromised and allowed him to grow a rat's tail, and he wore it with pride for months. Thank you for probably noticing that one of my boys looks like he's asleep in church. He does promise me he is listening. And thank you for your patience as we walk in late every week. But most of all, thank you for supporting me. I wasn't going to cry, but I always do. I've out of practice. One good thing about COVID is I haven't been up here for a while. All right, now I've lost my place. Thank you for supporting me through my journey as a wife and as a mother, for allowing me to move in and out of seasons in my life. Today on Mother's Day, pray for the mum in your life. Are they sleep deprived for nurturing a baby? I actually can't see my words now, excuse me. Or having a child go to school and hoping and praying that they do well and make good friends. Pray for the mum who is on her knees as a child's moving from, into work and choosing a career to study. As they start to fall in love, pray we can love their choices well. Pray for the mum with the empty nest waiting to be visited. Pray as we wait patiently. Pray for the mum who grieves a lost child. Pray for the mums who are waiting for them to choose Jesus. My time with my boys is lessening as they need me, and I have loved this season. The season of taxi driving, sports, feeding them, working more to feed them. I have loved it, and I will grieve it when it goes. In a COVID lockdown, I had the chance to clear my diary and realise that I had little in it for me. And I remember sitting there thinking, what will I do when they don't need me as much anymore, when they all have their licence? I think in this season with kids, you get so busy that you can easily find yourself disconnected. Pray for me as I transition out of that I do it well. And for those that are in this season, know that God has a plan for you. In fact, He uses you in every season. Thank you, church, for loving us well. I'm not sure if you realise how much church can impact pastors' kids. You've impacted them positively, and for that I'm grateful. Happy Mother's Day.
That's good. Wow. How do you follow that? I think you can take that now, Robbo. And thanks, babe. She was not meant to cry. But it's a big build-up and it's heartfelt words, so that's what happens. Thank you, babe, for sharing. I'm going to invite Heidi. Heidi, can you come up? Can we, everybody, give Heidi a huge clap? One of our super mums. So good. I'm going to spend some time just asking you some questions. You're here, which is fantastic. For those who don't know you, why don't you just quickly introduce yourself?
Sure. So, hi, I'm Heidi. I've been married to Ashley for 8 years, and I have 3 boys, Hugo, who is 4, Charlie, who is 2, and Bo, who is 3 months. Little guy.
So it's kind of a miracle you're here today.
He's been a really good baby, so, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. We'll hear some more about the boys later. Now, do you know why your mum and dad chose your name, and do you know its meaning?
Well, I didn't, so I asked my mum during the week. I was like, why did you call me Heidi? And she said, I didn't really have a say, that it was Dad's choice. He always wanted to call his daughter Heidi, and apparently my older sister was born and she didn't look like a Heidi, so I'm Heidi. But then last night I asked my dad just to check in. I said, why do you want to call me Heidi? He said, I don't know, I don't think I really got a say in it. So I was like, someone's not remembering something there. But Heidi means noble one.
Noble one. That's great. That's awesome. Well, again, we'll stick with the family. Sounds like you've got a fun family. What kind of things did your family do together when you were young? You know, those special moments.
Yeah, I feel like the things that kind of stand out to me are more the things that we did every week, you know, the regular things. So going to my grandma's house for lunch on a Sunday, or on Friday nights, my parents ran a youth group at our old church, and every Friday night we'd go through Macca's drive-through and in Mum's big commuter van and pick up lots of different kids from different families along the way. So I feel like that's the kind of stuff that I always remember. But another big one was when I was 10, we drove around Australia in a caravan for a year. So I feel like that's just full of lots of good memories. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. Now, Lynette Dewing is Heidi's mum, and Lynette's a bit of a legend around this place. What has she taught you? You know, as you look up to her, quality mum.
Yeah.
What has she taught you?
Yeah, well, she's definitely taught me to be a neat freak, which is like a good and bad thing, I'd say. But no, certainly the greatest thing I think that that I've learnt from her is just to have a rock solid faith in God. I feel like growing up, no matter what situation I was going through, whatever situation they were going through, I feel like the answer was always come to God. What does the Bible say? Ask Him for guidance. Trust in Him and that He's going to provide. And I feel like throughout my whole life, I just saw that happening. Their trust in Him and God providing just over and over and over again. And it's hard to not have that just ingrained in you. And I feel like when I was younger, I definitely found elements of that embarrassing and annoying. And I feel like as I've gotten older, I've just realised, oh my goodness, like I was literally given the foundation to life on a silver platter. And I feel like I'm just so privileged to have been able to witness that over and over and over again. And I think another thing is definitely being servant-hearted. I feel like Mum's week is just filled with serving different people, and in no way do I match up to that. But certainly I feel privileged to have learned that from her as well.
Yeah. Can we give Lynette a hand? So good, Lynette. She's not going to want any of that because she just does it so humbly and so behind the scenes. But she's wonderful. I was just thinking as you were talking, just that, I think it was last week, how I spoke on, one generation commending the works of Jesus to another, and then, you're going to be able to do that for your family now. So my next question is, do you have a spiritual mum or auntie, and what does that, if you do, what does that relationship look like, and what has it meant to you?
Yeah, so I feel like I don't have a specific person that I would think of as a spiritual mum, which is probably a good prompt to maybe directly pursue that. But certainly in different spheres of life and in the past in different seasons of life, there's been different people in different contexts that I've definitely seen that way. The type of people where when you're around them, you're just trying to like suck up all their wisdom and all the good stuff that they have to say. And I think sometimes it has looked more directly like me coming to them as a sounding board and asking them for advice, but I feel like more often than not, it's actually just watching them, how they do life, watching their model and, just trying to absorb it all. I do feel like some of these people would be horrified at the idea of a spiritual mum because they're probably not that much older than me, but even still, like I certainly view them that way, and those people have been so important. Yeah,
awesome. Now, being a mum yourself, what's the best thing about being a mum?
You know what, I actually found this question so hard to answer, not because there's not a reason, but just because I couldn't explain it. I feel like the best thing for me is actually just the love for them. Like it's just, something that is so beyond any other love, right? And just being able to experience that is it's just crazy. So I think just them and just loving them is probably my favourite part of them.
That's great. What's been the toughest? Good and bad.
Yeah, I feel like certainly in the season I'm in right now, probably the physical demands of kind of 3 very dependent children. So, trying to stop the toddler from running into the road while the baby's crying and the oldest is off talking to a stranger about Spider-Man. Just like that juggle between all of it is, quite physical. So that's probably the bit that I find the hardest. And trying to do that whilst also trying to maintain the other important elements of life beyond children. So that, I guess that juggle of it all is probably what I find the toughest.
Yeah, wow. Now, what do you do when things aren't going too great? Like where things aren't working out the way that you thought they would? And church, we've just recently journeyed with Ash and Heidi praying for Bo, and that's been, I imagine that's been massively tough. So what did you do? How'd you get through that? Like, where do you go?
Yeah, I feel like this is a funny answer, but I actually find that in those big, hard seasons, the kind of when the unexpected comes, I almost find life a little bit easier, which sounds weird, I realise. I think I'm the type of person who can get very just overwhelmed and stressed with the day-to-day to-do list, and I'm always thinking about what I've got to do next and controlling all the things. And when something big happens that's just out of your control, I find that, in a way, it's almost like a breath of just release of, well, what can I do other than hand it to God? And the surrender that comes with that, I just find unbelievably freeing and peaceful. And as you said, this last kind of 6 months or so, you may have heard, but when I was halfway through my pregnancy with Bo, they found he had a bowel obstruction and that he would require surgery once he was born and 4 to 6 weeks in NICU. And they thought it was secondary to something that was a lot more sinister. So there was a lot of not so nice potential outcomes. And I mean, what else can you do in that situation than pray, right? There's literally nothing else we could do. And also getting other people to pray for us. And that was such a big, beautiful, beautiful thing for us. But yeah, certainly in that time, I feel like just that knowledge that no matter what the outcome is, even if it is the worst outcome, knowing that God's in it with us, God's in control, that he's going to equip us to handle whatever it is, and that he's going to grow us in it. Like, just those truths, I just found amazing. I just found really amazing. And I truly felt that time was actually really peaceful for me, which is unbelievable, right? And can only be explained by God's amazing grace, his amazing peace, and the prayers that we had for us. So yeah, for me, funnily enough, I feel like I'm better at the bigger things than I am at the smaller things. And I would love to apply that same kind of trust in God in the everyday things, right? You know, Romans says, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him. So I think that's my kind of aim, to kind of weave that into the everyday. But another really big thing, as I've hinted towards, is doing it with other people. So we had friends and family praying. We had this church praying, and it was the most beautiful thing. On a Sunday after church, people would come up to me who I just don't know, and they'd be like, we've been praying for you, how's Bo doing? And it was absolutely amazing to just have that privilege of people who want to embark on that with you. I mean, that peace that I felt, I feel like could be explained from those prayers. And one big thing that stood out to me was I was having a conversation with a friend via voice memos on our phone, because when we hang out with our kids, we do not get to talk about anything substantial. And I was talking to her, and she was talking about Bo and how heartbreaking some of the stuff had been. And she was crying talking about it, and she was devastated talking about it all and how she was praying. And I jokingly said to her, I was like, wow, it feels like you're carrying the burden more than I am. Like, she just was really, grieving in it. And she said, funnily enough, as good news kind of came about, I felt like I celebrated in those joys just as much as you. Like, I felt like I was just in that, and that she said it was just the biggest privilege to be able to be trusted by us, to journey with us, to carry those burdens and then celebrate in those joys. And I was just like, wow, that's truly amazing, right? That we get to do that with each other. And I think, tying back to early in the service when we heard about Mum Club, a big encouragement would be, if you are a mum, come to Mum Club, because it is the perfect space for forming those connections. If you've got people in your life already, just to go deeper with them, to really pray and talk about those big, big things. But yeah, Mum Club, I think, is just the perfect space. And if you're a mum of any age, children of any age. I feel like they're the two big things. When big things happen, I'm like, the Lord and other people, right?
That's great. What a great answer, eh? Wow, that's amazing. One more thing. If there's, is there anything you would like to say to all of the mums, the bonus mums, the spiritual mums, the community mums, the potential mums in the room or watching online today?
Yeah, I feel like I'm a real novice here, right? I'm only 4 years in. But I know for me, probably about a year ago, I felt like I was just really struggling with the relentlessness of the everyday of parenting. And I was just in a real rut, and I was like, I need to do something about this. So I downloaded a bunch of like mum devotions on like my Bible app and tried to find a few other resources. And I made a note in my phone, and just copy and pasted some like key verses that I could just go to in the morning when I woke up and was like, oh my gosh, I have to do this again. That I could go to and just be encouraged by. And I found that so helpful, and I still go back to that note quickly when I'm just like, I'm not doing good, and go back to it. But one thing at the time that I was really struggling with was just that feeling of not doing a good enough job, just knowing all those areas that I'm really not good at. And I think in this day and age, we are so privileged in the one sense to have such easy access to the latest evidence-based research on every area of a child's development. Whether it's their social emotional, or whether that's their diet, or whether, whatever it is. And whilst that's a great thing, you are just constantly aware of what the ideal is, and in reality, no one is, of course, able to kind of be doing that all the time. But it's hard. It's hard knowing the ideal and knowing that you're not doing it. And so that was one thing that I was kind of, journaling on and finding devotions on. I just want to share a bit about it because I found it really, really helpful. So the temptation is to feel like we should be in control of everything and worry about how our inadequacies are going to impact on our children, right? How are we going to mess them up? But I think the pressure and the impossibility of the task is actually what is intended for us to rely on God in it, right? Because as much as we love them and long for them, ultimately they were created by Him, and they belong to Him, and His love and desire for them is far more profound and pure than even mine, even ours. And because God is sovereign and full of grace, He can be trusted with the children that He has entrusted to us. Romans 8:32 says, "He who did not spare His own Son, but gave Him up for us all, how will He not also with Him graciously give all things?" And I think that just relieves so much pressure that I know I experience in motherhood, that it's not all up to me, and thank goodness it's not. Praise God that it's not. And I think it applies to any kind of part of your journey in mumhood, whether you've got, young kids, school kids, teenage kids, just that ability to know it's really so far beyond me, and that's a good thing because we can trust God in it. Because when we're striving and not succeeding at being those perfect examples for our children, God says, "My grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness." Amen. So we can be honest about our weaknesses and know that His divine power can work through us in our parenting. When we are weak, He is strong. I just think that is something that I need to go back to often, and I hope is encouraging. And even if you are not a mum, gosh, it applies to everything in life, right? Those loved ones, those ones that are loved to you, that we can trust God to look after them. Yes.
Wow. Can we thank Heidi? I'm going to pray for you. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much for being willing to share your heart and share your family. Thank you for letting us be a part of your family. It's been awesome to trek with you and to travel with you and to pray with you, and it's been good. And praise God for all He's done. So I'm going to pray for Heidi, and love you to join me in doing that. Jesus, just thank you so much for Heidi, and thank you for her willingness to share her heart and share what you've laid on her heart this morning. And God, I just want to pray your blessing. I want to pray your best over Heidi and Ash and the children. Pray for them, commit them to you in the mighty name of Jesus. And Lord, as Heidi continues to be a mum who is submitted to you and who is looking to your power to do what she does, I pray that you would grant her with peace and patience and all of those beautiful fruit of the Spirit that she desires, and that you will give her what she needs to be able to get through this next season of life. We committed to you, Jesus, and we thank you for her. Amen. Amen. Thank you, Heidi. God bless. Thank you. church is full of beautiful inside and outside women, hey, in this place. We're so blessed. Now, I've just got just a real small devotional thought that I want to leave with you as we wrap up our service and before Grace comes up and prays. A couple of months ago, my small group, Leanne and I, lead a small group of young adults, and we just see that as an absolute privilege. It's fantastic having them part of our life and in our home. And we were kind of like, what are we going to do as a small group? And I remember hearing somebody say that in their small group, they are watching The Chosen. So everybody know about The Chosen, this film that's been crowdfunded, and it's all about Jesus, and it's excellent. And I sense the Spirit of God just say, hey, time to focus on Jesus for this next season. And it's been awesome. And if you're struggling to figure out what to do as a small group, that's one thing that I'd encourage you to do. It's excellent. And anyway, the second episode is called Sabbath, or as the Hebrews people say, they say Sabbat. And I'd love you to have a look at this clip as it introduces episode 2, and then I'm going to share a few thoughts. So let's have a look.
I see a star.
And if you think I'll fall for that, Eli, you must think I was born yesterday.
Was there a Shabbat when you were little?
Of course, since the time of the covenant.
Every 7 days. Why so many, Safta?
Shabbat is a time for rest and time to honor 3 things: family, our people, and God.
Family like Safta and Sabah?
Yes, and you, Ima and Abba, of course. Close friends are like family too.
Who else?
We honor our fellow citizens on Shabbat.
Stranger, Safta?
We are all God's people, even friends we haven't met. But most important of all, we honor God and all his works. We rest because he rested on the 7th day. We rest to refresh our souls, to know him better.
Woman of valor, who can find her?
This is the Eshit Chaya, an ode to women of valor.
Far beyond jewels is her value. Her husband's heart trusts in her, and he should lack no fortune.
There!
May God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh.
May God make you like Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah.
The 6th day, and the heaven and earth and all their hosts were completed. And God finished by the 7th day all his work of the earth. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe. Now all his work that God creates the fruit of the vine. Amen. Amen.
So, 2 minutes in, episode 2, and I was just blown away by how beautiful this weekly meal was and is. And on a Friday night, how beautiful that would have been to the Jewish people. This meal is the start of the Sabbath day of rest, beginning on sundown Friday evening. A traditional meal to start the day of rest and a time to honour family, as you heard, honour their people, and most importantly, to honour God. I must admit, I was most impacted by this 2-minute clip. I was impacted when the husband honoured his wife in front of everyone present at the meal. And I made a mental note, and I thought to myself, I need to do a little bit of research on this. I need to go a bit deeper here. So I did. And found that at the start of a Shabbat meal, sorry for my pronunciation, I'm not Jewish, I'm Australian. And I don't profess to be a Jewish, philosopher or whatever. It's just what I've found out. So at the start of a Shabbat meal, the host, often accompanied by others, will sing 2 hymns. The Shalom Aleichem hymn. This is where they welcome the angels who visit every home at the start of Shabbat, requesting their blessing and bidding them farewell at the end of the meal. That hymn is then followed by a song of Ishet Chayil, which is what that lady said, but far better than I did. The Ishet Chayil. Can that... oh no, that'll come up in a minute. Yep. Which is a tribute to the Jewish woman written by King Solomon, extolling her for the wisdom and the hard work with which she makes her home the lovely and nurturing place that it is. Now, the Ishet Shahil, woman of worth or valor or strength, is that beautifully arranged final section of Proverbs 31 verses 10 through to 31. I'm not going to read it all out, but I'm just going to read these first few. A wife of noble character who can find she is worth more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with her eager hands. There's just a few verses of that magnificently arranged Proverb 31. Now, the Hebrew word for eshet is the construction form of isha, which means woman. And shahil means bravery, capability, triumph, a rampart. Now, I had to look what that is. A rampart is a wall or a fortification. It's this kind of safety or wealth. And the eshet shahil represents virtues of courage and strength. Now, traditionally, this entire passage is recited by the husband before the Kiddush, which is a blessing over the wine or the grape juice, and then he holds up a cup and he recites a passage out of Genesis 1 and 2, which I'm not going to read. But after the Shabbat candles are lit, before the meal is eaten, the wife or the mother of the house is praised. Eshet Chahil has become a way of expressing gratitude to the lady of the house. For what is more fitting than to sing her praises than on a Friday night after she has worked tirelessly all week to get her family to that very important meal. And I just went to myself after I looked at all of that, I just went, wow. Every single meal, every single Friday night set aside as a time to rest, a time where God is honoured at a family meal, but also every single week the woman of the house is honoured and praised for who she is and for all that she has done. And then I thought to myself, imagine if we did this. Imagine if we did this. Imagine if we even did this once a month. What this would do to the spiritual atmosphere or the spiritual climate of our homes. Imagine what this type of honour would do in and for the woman of your house. So, with that real simple thought, can I encourage you? Can I encourage you to keep honouring God for all that He has done and all that He is doing in your home? And can I encourage you to honour the woman of your house by loving her, by caring for her, by nurturing her, by being thankful, by telling her she is beautiful, by encouraging her with words and hugs as she tirelessly serves her home, making sure that everybody there is clothed. My son does wear safety boots to work. And Leanne's made sure of that. That they're clothed, that they're fed, that they're taken care of, that they're driven to all four corners of the world. All the while, she is trying to carve out her own career, serving the broader community. So I just want to say, God bless mums. God bless mums and women of this church community. We love you so much, and we are blessed because of you. Thanks, Grace.